Hello everyone, Jamie Trull here, your favorite CPA and profit strategist. And I'm really excited for this specific topic. This is a topic that comes up a lot, and it is around hiring your kids. And specifically today, I want to talk about the myths of hiring your kids and really try to be able to separate fact from fiction. I have been on the internet, I've been on social media, I've seen videos about this on TikTok and things like that, and holy moly, there's so much misinformation. I see it in videos, I see it in the comments to videos, and so I want to give you a resource to really be able to combat some of those typical myths that are out there and actually show you the support for the actual truth of the matter. So let's jump on in and talk about some of the myths around hiring your kids in your business. The first myth is that it is illegal to hire your child if they are under 14 or 16, depending on who you talk to. And that is absolutely not true. If you are a business owner, you can actually hire your kid at any age, really. And that is because you are exempt from federal child labor laws. So the FLSA, the Fair Labor Standards Act, is typically what people point to say it is legal to employ a child under the age of 14. However, there is an exemption for family businesses. So you can see here really closely on the U.S. Department of Labor website that it does say the FLSA provides for certain exemptions. Youth younger than 16 years of age working in non-agricultural employment in a business solely owned by their parents or by persons standing in place of their parents. So if they're being raised by grandparents, let's say, may work any time of day and for any number of hours. So the normal FLSA rules around child labor do not apply if the business is wholly owned by the parent. Now, I just find this funny, so I'm going to point it out. The other exemptions, other than just the exemption for a family business, but the other exemption to the rules around how old you have to be to work and what type of work you can be doing are the ones listed here, which are really interesting. You can be an actor or a performer at any age. You can be a newspaper delivery kid, which I guess those make sense, but the one that makes me laugh a little bit is just how specific this one is, which is that you can work at home making wreaths composed of natural holly, pine, cedar, or other evergreens. That is one of the few exemptions that is specifically spelled out, which I find really interesting, but maybe that's just me. Now, the number 2 myth that I hear all the time is that, okay, well, if I employ my kids to work for me, they're gonna have to pay taxes anyway. And actually, that's not necessarily true if you do it the right way. Now, there are instances where maybe if you don't go through all the steps to set this up properly, that you may have some taxes that your child would have to pay. But in general, if you do this thoughtfully and have the resources that you need to set it up correctly, your child may not have to pay any taxes at all, especially if they are under 18. And if they're under 21, they're only going to have to pay potentially a little bit of tax. So the way this works is that if your child makes under $13,850, and that is the 2023 standard deduction amount, if they make less than that in a year, then they will not have any federal income taxes that they would have to pay, and likely probably no state income taxes as well, but that's something that would be dependent on the state. Now, of course, that standard deduction amount changes every single year, so you'll want to check what it is, but usually it's going to go up, it's not going to go down. So generally, if you're paying them more than $14,000 a year, they are not going to have any income taxes that they would need to pay on that money. This is great because you as the business owner are essentially shifting that money into a lower tax bracket. You probably have more than a 0% rate on profit in your business. So if you are shifting it to your child, they won't have those income taxes and you get to take that deduction. Now, you might be thinking, what about Social Security, Medicare, unemployment taxes? Don't they still have to pay those? Well, my friend, you get a gold star just for asking that question, but I'm going to show you where the IRS website actually says that no, in a lot of cases, they don't have to pay any of that. So here you can see on the IRS website, I always like to go to the actual source, not somebody who's interpreting it. It says if the business is a parent's sole proprietorship or a partnership in which each partner is a parent of the child, i.e. all of the owners are parents of the child, payment for the services of a child are subject to income tax withholding regardless of age. But remember, If it's under the standard deduction, there will be a 0% tax rate, so there would be nothing there. Payments for this service of a child under age 18 are not subject to Social Security and Medicare taxes. That's FICA. That's a savings of 15.3%. So again, that is taxes you likely have to pay as a business owner, but if you pay them the money, they won't have to pay that. If a child is 18 years or older, these payments for the services of a child are subject to Social Security and Medicare, but they are not subject to federal unemployment taxes if they're under 21. So there's a little bit of a change if you're between 18 and 21 years old, but in general, there are significant tax benefits to paying your child that you don't have. So one of the other myths that I hear all the time is this is just going to get you in trouble. This is just a tax loophole and the IRS is on the lookout for this. You're more likely to get audited and it's going to be disallowed. Well, I just read you the actual rules from the IRS website. The IRS knows about this and are completely fine with it, as does the Department of Labor. So the key, however, is they really do need to be employed. You cannot just say they're employed. You need to employ them. You need to document it well. So as long as you have well-documented records, and again, are employing them the way that you need to and paying them in the right way, then this is absolutely totally fine from the standpoint of the IRS and the Department of Labor. Now, myth number 4 that I hear is if I employ my child, then they're going to lose their dependency status. I'm not going to be able to claim them as a dependent on my tax return. Actually, that's not true. So the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter whether you're paying them or not paying them in your business. You can claim them as a dependent as long as you're providing more than 50% support to them. So more than likely, when we talk about what it takes to survive, if you're paying them $12,000 a year, or heck, even $20,000 a year, you probably can still say that you are providing most of the money for them to survive in terms of their housing, their clothing, their food, right? A lot of that is still probably coming from you. So the real determining factor there isn't even necessarily whether they're making income or not. It's who is providing for the majority of their needs. Now, another myth that I see a lot, and this one I take to heart. I have a lot of thoughts on this, but a lot of people may think that it is unethical to hire your child. As a person who has hired my 9-year-old, I do not believe that to be the case. And in fact, I think it's actually been a really good thing for him and a really good thing for our relationship. Now, all of that said, of course, I don't advocate for hiring a young child working, a lot of manual labor or a lot of hours in a week. I think this is best done to hire a child in some of their free time outside of school, maybe during the summer, give them some responsibility, give them some real actual experience managing money on their own. And it allows for a lot of those conversations to happen. So my son has a bank account now. He manages everything in his Greenlight account. If you're interested in Greenlight, definitely check out my link, jamietrull.com/Greenlight, but he can actually invest through the app. He can set spending and saving goals, and I pay him directly from my business into this bank account. And it has been such a fabulous thing for him to have and a bonding experience for the two of us. And he's learned a lot about what I do. So again, as long as the working conditions are appropriate for the age, we're not talking about doing this because we are trying to exploit children or not pay them enough. In fact, most of the time when people are trying to employ this as a tax strategy, they probably want to justify the highest salary they can possibly justify because it allows for a higher tax savings, right? So we're not talking about trying to, pay very low wages and get cheap labor from children. That is not the purpose of what I talk about here. That happens absolutely in the world. That is not what we're talking about when we talk about the tax advantages of hiring your children and why it can be a really great thing to do for your business and for them. Now, another popular myth that I hear that actually has some validity to it, but there are ways around it, is the fact that you can't hire your child to work for your business and get the tax benefits if you own a corporation. Now, that's not necessarily true. It is true that you can't get the same tax benefits if you are to hire them directly through, say, an S corporation or a C corporation. Because remember, when we read that statement on the IRS website, it said that FICA taxes and unemployment taxes didn't have to be paid as long as the business was wholly owned by a parent and that it was a sole proprietorship, which also includes an LLC that is taxed as a sole proprietorship. But if you're an S corporation or a C corporation, then it gets a little bit more complicated, but it is definitely still doable. And it just requires setting up a family management company that will essentially be the one that is employing your child, and then they ultimately invoice your main corporation. You can do this as well if you have other partners in your business that are non-parents, right? Because that was another stipulation that all partners had to be parents. If you have an S corporation or a C corporation, or if you have partners that are not parents of the child, there is still a way to be able to employ them and get the full tax benefits that you would otherwise. It's just a slight bit more tricky. So if I have convinced you, if all of this has helped for you to say, okay, all right, maybe this is really worth looking at, then I want you to go check out this brand new program that we are releasing literally right now. So if you go to JamieTrull.com/HYK for Hire Your Kids, you're going to be able to see our Hiring Your Kids toolkit. And this is going to have literally everything that you need in order to be able to hire your kids. So it is going to have all the guides that you need, all the checklists that you need, video lessons to help walk you through it. And also it's going to have the actual logs that you can use to be able to track and keep the documentation that you're going to need in case you are ever audited for any reason. You have it ready to go to prove why you took the deduction. It's also going to help you figure out how to actually go about paying your kid. What do you need to do? What are the steps to do that? How do you get payroll set up for them? And we're going to include the contracts that you need in order to employ your kids. And if you are needing to set up a family management company, we have a guide for that and a contract for that. So we have literally everything that you need from A to Z to be able to hire your kids, do it the right way, get the best tax benefits possible, and you can grab it now. Okay, so before we finish this video on hiring your kids, we had to have our special guest. If anybody saw the video that came out last week, you already know who this is, but introduce yourself real quick.
Miles.
Who are you?
Miles.
Right, but like, who are you?
Miles.
You're my child, right?
Yeah.
Yes. How old are you?
9.
9. And how do you feel about working with Mom this summer? I've hired you for the summer for a couple hours a week to do some work with me. And, what are you thinking about that?
Don't show.
Are you excited about it?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to be doing?
I'm going to teach people about money.
You're going to teach people about money? You're going to be part of my YouTube channel and on my social media and take some pictures and do some work. Miles also has been learning Canva, so he can do some graphic design work.
Yeah.
And what are you most excited about with working with Mommy this summer?
I'm most excited about teaching people about money.
Uh-huh. And making money yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little?
Maybe a little.
So again, I'm so excited about this. Definitely check it out, JamieTrull.com/HYK. Right now we have some special offers going on. So definitely make sure to check that out, and happy hiring.